Hello everyone and welcome back again to my YouTube channel. This is Style with Chika. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make this stylish bodysuit I'm currently wearing. This tutorial covers everything from drafting your pattern to sewing to the final piece, and it is perfect for you as a beginner or a fashion enthusiast. So if recreating this is something you'd love to learn, then keep on watching and let's get right into it. And if you haven't subscribed already, don't forget to click on the subscribe button. Turn on your post notification bell so you do not miss any of my sewing tutorials. So these are the materials that I'll be using to achieve this bodysuit. First, I have 1 yard of lycra fabric. Lycra fabric is a kind of stretchy fabric. You can see it stretches both ways. If you don't have lycra, you can make use of spandex or you can make use of jersey fabric. I also have my matching thread. Then I have my press buttons. You can make use of press buttons or you can make use of snap buttons, any one you find available. Then these are my pattern masters that I'll be using the draft book. But if you don't have these, it's okay. I'm also going to be showing you guys how you can use freehand to achieve this. So first you want to mark out a straight line, and this straight line is going to be your shoulder line and it's also going to be your starting line. So this pattern paper is folded in two because I'm going to be cutting my front and my back together. So from this shoulder line, I'm going to mark my neck width. My neck width is going to be 3 inches and my neck depth is also going to be 3 inches. So I'm going to make use of my ruler to connect like this. If you're on the bigger side, you can make use of 3.5 and you can make use of whatever neck depth that you choose. Next, I'm going to mark out my shoulder measurement divided by 2. My shoulder measurement is 8. This is where I have 8 inches, okay? So from this point now, I'm going to come down by 1 inch and I'll connect into my neckline right here. So next I'm going to take my armhole line. For my armhole line, placing your tape here, you're going to divide your bust measurement by 6 and then you're going to add 1.5 inches to it. What I have is 7.6 after that division. I left the mark right here. Then from this point here, placing my tape here, I'm going to mark out my bust line. My bust line is my shoulder to my nipple, which is at 11 inches. Next, I'm going to mark out my waistline, my shoulder to my waist. I'll be making use of 16 inches. So then I'm going to connect these lines like this. So for my waistline, I'm going to mark out my crotch measurement. My crotch measurement is at 12 inches. I'll also go ahead and extend this line just like this. Alright guys, so now I have my armhole line, I have my bust line, I have my waistline, and then I have my crotch line. So next, I'm going to come to my bust line and I'll take my round bust measurement divided by 4. I'll leave a mark here. But then because it's a fitted bodysuit, I'm going to be coming in by 1 inch. So from this point now, I'm going to come in by 1 inch just like this. So this is my new mark for my bust line. And then I'm going to come to my armhole line and then I'll mark out the same measurement on my armhole line just here. I'll go back to my waistline and I'll take my round waist measurement divided by 4. I'll leave a mark here. And just like I did to my bust, because it's fitted, I'm going to come in by 1 inch just like this. Okay, so now I'm just going to connect from this waistline to my armhole line with a straight line like this. Alright, so now the next thing I'm going to do is to come to my shoulder line here. So because it's a bodysuit, you don't need this part to be too wide. So I'll also come in by 1 inch just like this. So after coming in by 1 inch, I'll just extend this line straight up downward like this to this point so you guys can understand. So now this is my new line here. On this line, I'm going to measure what I have within this point to this point here, and I'll divide it by 2. You can easily do that by folding your tape in 2. I'll leave a mark at this point. So from this point now, I am going to come in by half of an inch. So what I'm going to do now is connect to this armhole line to this point to give me my armhole curve. So now I'll come to my waistline and then I'm just going to measure about 5 inches down from my waistline, which is here. And then I'll also extend a straight line across this point just like this. So on this line now, I'm going to take my hip measurement, my round hip measurement divided by 4, and I'll leave a mark here just like this. But then again, because it's a bodysuit, from this line, I'm going to come in by about 1 inch to 1.5 inch. So I'm just going to come in by 1.5 inch like this. And then I'm going to connect from my waistline to meet this new point with a curve just like this. So now I'm going to come to my crotch line, and from my crotch line here, I'm going to come down by 1 inch, just like this. So this 1 inch I'm coming down by is for the snap buttons, okay? For your press on buttons or for your snap buttons. So after coming down by 1 inch here, I'm going to turn my tape this other way, and then I'm going to come in by 1.5 inches, just like this. So what you just want to do now is to connect these parts like this, just like you can see me doing. Okay, so this part now is going to be for the snap buttons. So from this point, I'm going to connect it to this one here, and this is where I'm going to be using this ruler. So if you do not have a ruler, you can go slowly and trace out your curve just like this. You can start slow, start a bit straight, then you begin to go sideways just like this. Okay, just to get a curve. But then if you have a curve, it's super easy to just keep your ruler this way, and then you can just mark out a curve like this. Okay, and then just adjust where necessary. So if you don't have a curve, just use a pencil first of all, and then carve out little by little, and if it looks like something you like, you can go ahead and cut it out. So like I said, I'm going to be cutting my back and my front on this same pattern. So this one that I have here is my front pattern. So what I have here now is my front pattern, okay? So I'm going to be cutting my back and my front on this same pattern, but to do that, all I'm going to be adjusting is my neckline, my armhole, and this part of the bodysuit. So for my neckline for my front, I'm going to be making use of my green marker. So anywhere you see green marker, know that it's for the back, okay? So at this point now, I'm going to come down for my back neckline by about 1.5 inches. And I'll still connect it into this point with my ruler just like this. Alright, then I'll come to my armhole here. So you can see that for my front neckline, I came in here by 1/2 inch to get this curve. But for my back neckline, I will not be doing that. I will just connect straight up like this. Okay, so this green now is for my back. Please do not get confused. Okay, so at this point here now for my crouch, I'm just going to come out by 1.5 inches so that my buttocks is covered. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to just connect this point right here, and then I'll try my best to blend it into this point also like this. So because my back and my front is marked together, I'll start by cutting my back. So I'll be using these patterns now to cut out on my fabric here. So my fabric is 1 yard, and I'm going to be using this same fabric as the main material. I'll also be using this same fabric as the lining. So now I've gone ahead to make use of my patterns cut out of my material, and this is my front and this is my back. So for my front and back, after cutting one each, I went ahead to cut another one, which is going to serve as my lining. So this was just 1 yard of fabric that I had. So when I was cutting out the lining, I had to do some joinings just to make sure that it was complete, just like you can see. This one is the one for my front, and for my back I even had to do more joining just to make sure that it was complete. Okay, so if you want to sew yours, you can go ahead and buy at least 1.5 yard of material, except you want to actually manage yours this way. But either way, this will be hidden inside because this is the lining piece of this. All right, so next you are going to take your front piece. This is the main material, and you take the lining piece of your front, and then you're going to place them right sides facing each other. Then you're going to sew around the neckline. You're going to be sewing on 1/2 inch, and then you're just going to go ahead and do the same thing to the back. So guys, after I was done sewing on my neckline, this is what it looks like. I just went ahead to notch it all around, okay, so that this can relax very well at the front. So this is what I have, and then I've also done the same thing to my back, and now this is what my back neckline looks like. So now I'm going to join on the shoulder for this front and the back, okay. I'm going to join on the shoulder. To join on the shoulder now, I'm just going to open it up like this, and then I'll pick the two pieces together like this, and I'll go ahead and sew on it by 1/2 inch, and I'll do the same thing to this side. So now that I've joined on my shoulder, this is what it's looking like. So now I want to sew on my armhole. So for this part, it's a little bit complicated, so you have to pay very good attention, okay? So I'm going to just take this part like this, all right? I'll take this part like this, and what I'm going to do right now is to twist it like this, okay? So now I'm twisting it like this. I'm just making sure that the right sides are facing each other like this. And then I'm just going to go ahead and pin down on it right here. When I pin down on it, I'm going to drag this part and I will drag this part. Alright. So what I'm going to do now is to sew down on this part right here. So now I'm just gonna head to sew on it. You can then flip it over like this. So when you flip it over now, you will notice that you've sewn on this side. Okay, you notice that you've sewn on this side. Now you're going to also pick the second part just the same way like this. You hold it. This second part will then be easier to hold. You hold it like this. You're going to bring it together just like you can see me doing, and you sew on 1/2 inch. So now I've gone ahead to sew on 1/2 inch, and when I flip it over to the right side, this is what it looks like. Okay, so now I have my complete part of my armhole here closed up. All right, so now you're just going to repeat the same process to this other side. If you find this very confusing, just take your time and rewatch it again. Pin down as you sew, and it will come out just like this. So I'll go ahead and repeat the same thing to this side. Alright guys, so now I'm gonna head to sew along the armhole here. You can see what it's looking like. So now I'm going to close up the down parts of this bodysuit, okay? I'm going to be sewing on this side. So to do that now, you just want to pick this side together like this, and all you have to do is to flip it over like this, alright? When you flip it over, you just drag it like this. Hold on it, drag it like this. And just like you can see, you're going to sew on this piece by 1/2 inch to join it together. So after I was done sewing on it, this is what it looked like. And I just went ahead to repeat the same process to this other side right here. Now I'm going to join the sides together by holding the two armholes together just like you can see from the both ends. I'm holding the two armholes together, and then at that armhole point now, I'll just go ahead and pin down on it. So I'm going to stretch this material out, holding it side by side, and I'll pin on the last end, okay? At the top length there, I'm going to pin on it. So after you pin on it, just hold like you see me doing and flip it over. So when you flip it over, you have one inside of the other. But if you pin this down, it's actually going to be very easy for you to sew on. So just go ahead and pin down as you see me doing. If you find this confusing, please just go ahead and rewatch it, and you see that it was actually very easy. Okay, so now at this edge, I'm going to sew down on 1/2 inch all around. After I was done sewing, this is what it looked like. Okay, so now I'm flipping it over to the right side so you guys can see. If you have done this now, you see that you have one edge completely sewn up with no stitches showing around it. Okay, so you can see what it looks like. So now I'm just going to work on this other side. For this other side, you're going to be able to sew only to a certain extent but not completely. Okay, so at the base here, you just want to go ahead and pin down just like you can see me doing, and then you go to the armhole also, and then you're going to go ahead and pin down on it. But because the other side is closed, we can't flip it over like the way we did. All right, so you're just going to watch what I'm illustrating now. So at this edge which I'm dragging just like this, dragging open, you just sew all across it. Okay, so after I've sewn all across it, this is what it looks like. So now this other part that's here, I'm just going to top stitch on it, but make sure that this part is actually the part that is going to be going inside. Okay, let this not be the part that will show outside. So I'm just going to top stitch on it. After I was done, this is what it looked like. Okay, but the front part now is looking very neat, and overall this top is looking very neat. So what I'm going to do next now is to attach my press buttons to this part that I'm pointing out right here. After I was done attaching my press buttons, this is what it looked like. So if you want, you can also go ahead and make use of snap buttons, and just make sure to give this a good press all around. And this is basically what I have for this body suit. I do hope you found this tutorial very helpful. Don't forget to tell me what you think in the comments. like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye, guys.